First video on push-up was all about the pec and its role in the push-up. Really the idea that if it gets too long or beyond where it's comfortable being on, then the push-up isn't the push-up. It's not, the shoulder's position is going to change. Scaling was discussed, and I said you can make it lighter, you can go less range, and you can slow it down. Really, we talked on that video more about the reduction in range. So I want to just touch on some of the other ways we can scale. And the reason I'm so big on scaling is because scaling is how we conserve the intent of the workout. We preserve the stimulus. Now that's more than just the physiological or psychological stimulus. It's also a positional stimulus. So once we've understood what a shoulder should look like during a push-up, then we need to communicate to our athletes that they need to scale in a way that ensures that they have that shoulder position. Now I get it, fatigue, it's going to deteriorate, but realistically, if you get fatigue and it's not the last couple of reps of a workout, that's when you should take a rest as well to ensure that the rest of your push-ups look like push-ups. So we can scale it by reducing the load. I talked about that before. And when we're talking about reducing the load, we're really talking about adding a band, using something to take your body weight away. Obviously, you can do that with helium balloons or a partner giving you assist, but most often in the gym, we're going to see bands giving assistance. The band setups could be as simple as loop it around the rig and then put that over you at waist level. Takes away a little bit of the core stability, takes away a little bit of the weight, makes the push-ups more accessible. Other options, perhaps you could drape the band across the J-hooks in a squat stand setup. I really like that one. And then as people go down, the band bends and the band assists. The final one, and perhaps the oldest one that I've played around with, is the two-band method, where one band is attached to the rig like in the first discussion a second ago, and then another band is threaded through that, making a jacket. So you put your arms through, boom, the band crosses here, it's pulling back that way, and then you're down, knocking out some push-ups. Again, all these options are great, provided that the athlete understands what their shoulder should be doing and the position they need to be in to make it a push-up. This is tricky because this is probably another concept that I've been stewing on, is who am I to say what a good push-up is and what a bad push-up is? There's people out there do way more push-ups than me, and maybe they do them different to me. So what am I talking about? I'm taking my role as coach seriously and saying that when I give you push-ups, I'm not just throwing out a task that if completed in any way, shape or form, hopefully will make you fit. I'm saying that we've specifically chosen push-up to ensure the variance of stimulus includes something that's going to develop your pecs. And we're not transitioning from, doing functional training to doing bodybuilding. Not at all. I'm saying push-ups are amazing. They represent a thing that everyone should want to do. But when I do a push-up, I know that using the biggest muscles more than using the smallest muscles is going to be a better way for you to do more push-ups and transfer your push-up across the other things that push-ups translate to. Dips and muscle-ups and handstand push-ups. So that's an important point when we start talking about scaling, is I have to believe in why that thing was programmed in the first place. So then we've talked about bands. We can also assist somebody with range of motion. We talked about that in the context of a floor press versus a bench press. Well, in a push-up, we're really talking about having an ab mat perhaps as a range of motion marker. Maybe use a little squishy ball. Those are great ways of reducing range that can progressively be improved or increased. More range can be added as people get more competent at the push-up, and deficit is a fantastic way to go beyond so to RX plus or scale up, if you will. Not that I really like that term. Another one you can do is you can modify the biomechanical advantage at the joint. So if you elevate somebody's hands relative to their feet, so put your hands on a box, put your hands on a bar that's inside of a rack, we can knock out push-ups in a way that has more load in the feet and less load in the shoulders. And again, what's cool about that? Find something a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and we can really attack the volume that was expected of somebody, because 50 push-ups, 100 push-ups, these are tough tasks that inevitably have some decrement in position. We want to minimize that to ensure that the joint stays as safe as possible and that the target muscles get the stimulus that we wanted them to get. Really cool. There's sort of three concepts at play. We scale. One is that we have a goal. That's why we encourage scaling. Two is that we want to encourage scaling to create positional excellence, not positional bare competence. You know, that idea of, oh, I'm going to use this because it's harder than what someone else is using, even though my movement looks terrible while I'm doing that. You know, think about a push-up on a really push-ups on your knees. I didn't even mention that. Push-ups on your knees is a good option. I'm not a huge fan, but it definitely has its place. The reason I'm not a huge fan is that it doesn't allow for that body line, the core stability stimulus that I think is really valuable in a push-up. So if someone's choosing their option, it should be an option that allows them to get the stimulus that you program the movement for. I said that. We want them to pick it for excellence. And then the last idea is, over time, we want to teach that position and have our athletes do something that they know is correct, rather than have them do something that they hope is correct. And I've been using that a lot lately. It's probably one of my favorite ideas. To say that I'm fed up is not right, but I'm a little bit fed up with people saying, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? And then that frustration really comes back to me, is like, how come I didn't teach you what right is? Now, obviously, we want feedback from different sources, and being a coach, our eyes provide a different avenue of feedback, where someone might not have the kinesthetic awareness to feel correct position, but we can give that feedback earlier and say, in the scaled situations, that one's good because, that one's great because, not just only go over when it's wrong and then have people hunting us down saying, can you watch this and tell me if it's right? Scrap that. We want to make sure that people know it's right because they've practiced it, and we told them when they were practicing in a submaximal or a slightly easier progression, that's right because. And what am I talking about here? Hey, that's a great bottom position because I can see you still got tension through your pecs, or your shoulder hasn't changed from that nice neutral shape that we had at the start. When we talk about mechanical advantage, we can also see that elevating the feet to the point where they're not on the ground. I mean, a planche push-up is tough. I say that not from experience, but because I've seen some good videos on YouTube about strong people doing planche push-ups. What I can think of is that as I take my feet off the ground, I can get into a ring dip, which I still want to have the same shoulder mechanics, and is a fantastic expression of that push-up. We go into handstand push-up, we're disadvantaging the pecs and biasing smaller muscles in the push-up shape, so it makes sense that that's also a tough push-up. But hopefully it makes sense that if you haven't got really good regular push-ups, then a handstand push-up probably is unlikely to be something that gets ticked off too quickly. Three concepts. Why are you programming it? Can you help people understand why you're programming it? And then they're going to hopefully scale to ensure that they know that they got that why out of the movement.